Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Aditya Pimpalkar. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate a private messaging chat application that I built. As you can see, I have three different browsers here. Each of them I have opened my project. I'm running my project and we're going to log in as three different users and we're going to make these users chat with each other. So let's start here. I'm going to type in my name. You can see I have logged in as with my name, and you can see no users have connected. I'm going to come here. I'm going to type John. You can see John. You can see connected users. My name appears over here, and in my chat window, John's name appears over here. And let's say Cindy. As you can see, we can see all the users that have connected to the server. So let's chat with John over here. We can see, and let's say hi to John. Now watch what happens in John's chat window. I'm gonna say, see, we get a new message alert, like a blue badge, and if I click on this, you can see my message to John. I'm saying hi, and I'm gonna say hi Aditya. This is John. You'll understand why I have to type this at a later stage. Let's say hi to Cindy as well. Hi Cindy. You can see in Cindy's chat window as well, it's alerting that I have sent a new message. Nice. Now let's go on John's window and select Cindy. Hi Cindy. This is John. See, John's message alert is popping up. If I type hi Cindy, this is John. Hi John. This is Cindy. There we go. Nice. Now, if I'm in some chat window inside here, and if someone else's message pops up, let's see. I'm in Cindy's chat window in John's chat. So if Aditya messages John, I'm gonna say, "What's up?" Oh, I'm in Cindy's chat. Sorry. So you can see, yeah. As I'm in as Cindy is talking to John, she's not inside Aditya's chat window. So even if you are in someone else's chat window or you're talking to someone else, you're gonna get the message pop up over here if you are receiving a message from a third user. So let's go on Aditya, see what's up. Nice. If I go on John's, see John's message being rendered. And same with a different user. If I come over here, you can see we have John's messages. You can see I have the Aditya's messages rendering. Nice. So this is working. This is nice. Now let's see if I refresh this. We should get all the connected users and our messages as well. So if I refresh, yeah, see, if I click on John, see, we are still getting the messages that we sent. Yep, great. If I refresh this, yep, we still have all these messages. See, we are still getting the user is connected or not as well. See, you can see for a fraction of a second over here that the user is disconnecting and reconnecting again. See, so we can also see if a user is connected or disconnected as well. That is good. The next part is the session management. So I can't log in on the same browser with a different username. Watch what happens if I run this. See, we still get the same logged in user if I open another tab and run the application over here. So session is inside this browser. So it's very specific to this the browser that you are running, and the same goes. That's why I have 3 different browsers. Uh, I had to download the Firefox because I like to use Chrome, and let's be honest, nobody uses Microsoft Edge because it's trash. But yeah, this is it. This is the application. Now let's close this window. You can see Cindy is offline now. Now, if I open Microsoft Edge again and type in localhost, see, Cindy is back online. So if the user disconnects or closes his tab or whatever, this is going to reflect immediately on the connected users. So yeah, this is the application. In the next few videos, I'm going to write this application. We're going to have a lot of fun. I really enjoyed coding this. I'm going to show you guys how you can code this step by step. So if you guys want, tune in the next videos. I'm super glad. I'm super excited. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. So I'm going to kickstart this project by building over my old application. So if you guys don't have this application, I have uploaded on GitHub. You guys can clone it and code along with me. So let's start. I'm gonna type my username, and you can see I need to do some design changes over here. So this video is gonna be all about design changes. So I need some users. I need to display connected users on the left, and this chat window is gonna go on the right. It's going to be 15% of the 15% of the chat window is going to be of connected users, and the rest of them is going to be of the chat window itself. So let's start. So I'm going to go inside my chat container, and here I'm going to type, I want a div inside my children, I want class name, and I want a row, and I want this height to be 100, and I'm going to render the prof's children inside here. Then inside chat, here I want the chat header, chat body, and chat input on one side, and our chat users on the left side. So I'm going to wrap these elements inside a div. So I'm going to say div. I want class name. Here I want it to display as flex. Flex is going to be column. And I want this column to have 8. Call, is it LG? Yeah, it's LG. I want call Excel. Just so we can have responsiveness, the responsive design, excuse me. And then I want padding start to be 0. I'm using Bootstrap 5. So if you're using below Bootstrap 5, I believe it's going to be padding left, PL 0. If you're using Bootstrap 5, it's padding S start. So here I also want the class chat window. Inside this, I want to put all of our containers inside. And above it, we want our users, connected users. So here, I also want it to display flex. Flex is going to be column, I think. Flex is going to be column. I want this to have column 4, width 4, column LG 4, and just so we get that responsive design. And I want padding end to have 0. If you are using Bootstrap 4, or below 5, it's going to be padding up, padding right. So it's padding n0, and I want border right info. So we get that border color, the separation line. Um, Actually, I don't think this is a class in Bootstrap 5, so I'm going to remove this. This is useless. Inside this, I'm going to copy the chat header here. All of this. I'm going to paste it here. The same thing. I don't want this content. Logged in as user.username. I'm going to remove this logged in as. I just want user.username. Let's see how this looks. This looks okay, but we are missing the border line. So seeing as Bootstrap 5 doesn't have the border right class, I'm gonna write a custom CSS for that. So let's write a custom CSS. Here, let's go to index.css. Down here, I'm gonna write border right info. I'm gonna write border right. I want this to be 1 pixel, and the color is gonna be 0 DCAF 0, and it's going to be solid. So let's see how this looks. To save this as well. Yeah, that looks good. This is exactly what we want. For now, I think I'm not going to render this. So I'm going to comment these components out. Let's go in chat. So let's go in our chat. Here I want to comment these out. I'm not going to render that. I'm not going to render them for now. Yeah, that looks good. Here I want a connected users div. So let's put that. So here I want to write div class name. I want this to have this flex, justify to center, and align items items center. Then I also want these to have the same height as chat window. So I'm gonna put this class inside here as well. And for now, I'm gonna say no users connected. Above this, I want to type another div. I want this to have the center, and I want this to have a bg primary. This to primary. Say connected users. Need to put all these inside here. Yep, that looks much better. I think if this text should be white, so that it looks much better. So I'm gonna say text white. Yeah. In the next video, I'm going to render all the connected users over here. Also, whatever changes I make in this project, I'm going to be uploading all of that on GitHub daily or when I upload this video. So if you guys think you might have missed something, or I might have missed or accidentally edited it out from the video, you guys can check the repository, because 100% sure the code is going to be properly written. So I'm going to put that repository's link in the description, so you guys can check the commits as well. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye. So before getting users, I think we should work on a session first. As you can see, we already have a socket event of session, but we don't have a session ID. So we'll create a session ID on a server. Here, below user ID, I'm going to write session ID, and I'm gonna pass this inside our session. So just before user ID, I'm gonna say session ID, and say socket dot session ID. Then we're gonna go on our client side. Here I wanna say session ID. Then I wanna bind my socket dot auth inside session. I wanna bind socket dot auth with my session ID, and then I wanna store. Say full storage dot set item session ID. I'm gonna pass the session ID value. I wanna store my session ID inside the browser, and I wanna set it as local storage, so it's available across all the types. So now that we have this, we also need to check if the user is if the session ID is existing in the browser. So we need to check that the user has already logged in or not. So I'm gonna write a function over here, say check if user exists. And constant check if user exists, and I'm gonna use callback, auto import, yeah, callback. So whenever we write a use effect function, we need to write use callback, and inside this I have to have an array function and an array of dependencies. So here I want to check if the local storage has a session ID involved. So I'm going to say local storage dot get item, and it's a session ID, and I'm going to store this inside a constant. There you go. And I'm going to say if session ID exists, then I want to connect. So I'm going to say socket dot auth. Again, inside here, I'm going to pass session ID, which we will validate on our server side in just a second. And then I want to say socket dot connect. I also need to pass the socket object over here, as we are using as it's a dependency in this function. So now on our server side, before if we are refreshing, then it's going to come here. So we need to check if this session exists or not. So we are obviously going to have our auth, our session ID inside our session.id object, inside our auth variable. So I'm going to say constant session, session ID to be precise, socket dot handshake dot auth dot session ID. So I'm going to say if there is session ID, then I want to find a session first, find my session, and then if the session exists, so for now let's keep the session object to null. We're going to implement this function in the next video. So for now I'm setting it to null. I'm setting this object to null. So if we have a session, I want to say socket dot session ID equals session ID, right, here that we are having already. and so socket dot user ID equals session object dot user ID, and then I want to say socket dot username equals session dot username. So we are going to store all of these constants, our socket variables or socket assignments, which we are already doing over here, down here, when we are first logging in inside our session. So it will make much more sense when we implement our session storage function, our session storage JavaScript file in the next video. But for now, I'm going to say return next. I'm going to pass this to our next middleware function. So if you don't have a session, I'm just going to say, if you don't have a session, excuse me, I'm going to say return next with an error inside an error function. I'm going to say, oops, say new error, say invalid session. Yeah, that is it for our validating session. Now we need to implement our session.js, which we will do in the next video. So before moving forward, before creating our storage session storage file, I need to fix a few things. I need to put this function inside my use effect. Otherwise, it will give you a warning. And after that, I need to put set user inside here and also users inside here. I was testing a few things out. That's why I forgot to, and I removed this. So I forgot to put it back. So now that that is done, let's move to our server side. So here, I want to go on our, click on our src file. I'm going to say new file. I'm going to say session storage.js. Inside here, I want constant session equals new map. Now keep in mind, we don't have a database, so we're gonna have to store everything in memory itself, which is a trade-off. But if I decide to put a database inside here, we just have to come here and replace a few things. So I'm gonna say export function here. I'm gonna say find session. I'm gonna create 3 functions. This one's gonna be find function, find session. This is gonna return sessions.get with ID. Next is going to be save session. It's ID and our session object itself. I want session dot set sessions. I need to keep these sessions. Session dot set, and then I want ID, and then I set, pass the session object inside. Yep. And third, I want find all sessions. Here we are not going to pass any parameters, and I want to return an array with inside I want session dot values. I want to return all the values which we are stored inside a map function. Now, why I have used map function is because we're going to replace if we have already have a saved session ID. This is just going to replace our session variable inside. So every time session ID is there inside, I don't want to find inside an array if we are using array, we have to first find inside the array, find in array, and then I have to replace it. This, if we have multiple users inside, then this is going to take a lot of time. So map function is just makes it easier. So now let's go inside our index.js and let's import these three functions. I'm going to say import from session, how to say dot src session storage .js. Now don't forget to put .js, otherwise it's going to give you an error. I'm going to say save session, then I'm going to say find session. I'm not going to put find out function just now, find out sessions just now. Now, where do we put this? First of all, we need to put this find my session inside here. So I'm going to remove this comment and I'm going to say find session. I'm going to pass in my session ID inside here. So this is what I was talking about in the last video. And where are we going to put this save session? So here I want to save the session on connection. So I'm going to put this function over here and I'm going to pass in our socket dot session ID, which we are creating once we have logged in. This one, and then we're going to pass our session object inside. So here we're going to have our user ID, socket dot user ID. I'm going to say username, name, socket dot username. Then if it's connected or not, I'm going to straight up pass in true over here because it's the first thing that is being called once you're connected. So it proves a point. And one more thing I need to write is socket dot join and pass in our socket dot user ID. This is going to be useful when we get all our connected users. So when we pass in, we're going to update this in the next video or next few videos perhaps. You'll understand why I have written this when we update this part. Yep, server is running. Now let's test this out. Here I'm going to type in my name. Now let's refresh this. Yep, see, we are now having session inside our browser. So if I close this window and then if I go on the new window, see, we're still getting the same username we logged in. If I change the browser, so now I have opened Mozilla Firefox. First sign in by John. See, we are getting John. Let's refresh this. We're getting the same thing. If I open a different tab, see, we're getting the same username. So let's get all our connected users now. I'm going to replace this and I'm going to import find all sessions, which we have already written over session storage. So we're going to call over here. I'm going to write find sessions. This is going to be an array. So I'm going to say for each. And inside this, I'm going to create a arrow function. This is going to have all our sessions. And I'm going to say users dot push. Inside this, we're going to have an object. We're going to say user ID. It's going to say session, not sessions. It's going to say session dot user ID. And it's going to have a username. So session dot username. and whether or not the user is connected or not. Session dot connected. So yeah, this is gonna have all our users inside over here. As you can see, we are already saving a session against our session ID, and we are passing our user object inside, user details inside. So we are doing the same thing over here. We're just getting all our user information and putting it inside our users array and calling or emitting a user event, which is going to be called on our client side. So let's go over to our client side now. Here, inside main.jsx, you can see we have already written some of this code. Now we'll update this at a later stage. We don't need this right now, so I'm just going to console.log for now. Let's see what we get inside over here. Now here there is a slight problem. While we are getting all our users, this is going to push my user information to me as well. So whenever I refresh, it's going to show that I have connected inside this users. So in general format, this array is going to look like this, right? And this is going to say users. I'm going to console.log, so this is going to look something like this. It's going to say user ID, blah blah blah, whatever. Let's say username. I'm going to say Aditya, right? And it's going to say connected true, right? Because we are getting all this. Yeah, we are passing this user object over here. So it's going to include my name, and also and the second value inside this is going to be some user ID. Username is going to be John, and also connected is going to be true. So keep in mind now, if I log in, I don't want to see myself. I don't want to see that I have logged in to me. Does that make sense? I only want to see that John has logged in besides me. So I don't want myself inside this array. So I need to put a condition over here before this. So I'm going to say users, is condition session dot user ID not equals socket dot user ID, and I'm going to push all of this inside here. Does this make sense? I hope it makes sense. I don't want when I log in, I don't want to see that I have connected as well. So basically, when we render inside our connected users, it's going to show ourselves. It's going to show my name itself as well. So it's basically like, do you want to chat with yourself? I don't want to. I don't think that's a functionality anywhere to be seen. So I only want John. I only want users connecting after me or that have already connected. I hope that made sense. I hope this condition made sense. So now let's check. Here I'm gonna say my name, and I'm gonna go on John's. Here I'm gonna say John, and I'm gonna inspect this. To refresh this again, this is here connected. See, you don't see my name, but you can see John's name. If you go over to John's inspect, you should see my name over here. See, only me. Yep, that is how you want. Now we're going to render over here that I have connected, and we're going to render over in my window that John is connected. Probably in the next video I'll do I'll render which users are connected over here, and then we'll also do the socket event of new user connection, and hopefully we'll sort these chat body chat header nonsense as well. I don't know. I don't like seeing these warnings, but we'll sort this out in a later few videos. Yeah, see you guys in the next video. Bye. So let's pick up where we left off. I'm gonna remove this, and we have already passed our users inside our chat component. So let's open our chat component, and down here above this I'm going to render our users. So I'm going to say users.length is greater than 0. Then I want a conditional rendering over here, so I'm going to pass in either it's going to show us the users connected users, or it's going to show us that no users are connected. So down here we're going to render this div. Otherwise we will render the users. So I'm going to write over here users dot map. This is going to have an arrow function. This is going to return div, right? And these are going to have user and index. So this is obviously supposed to have a key. So key of index, and let's type in our classes. So these are going to be padding y of 2, padding x of 2. I want a border bottom, just like a separator. I want this border color to info, and I want this to be large block, and I want this to be cursor pointer. So cursor pointer, yeah. So this is not a class in Bootstrap. So I'm gonna write this inside my index.js. Here cursor pointer, and as you can tell, it's going to have property cursor pointer. Here I'm going to change this so it's aligned properly. Inside here I'm going to copy a few things from above. So I want this div entirely inside here. A few things I want to change: flex and flex column. Let's do one thing as well. Let's replace this. You guys will see why I'm replacing this in a second. I'm going to say, oops, backtick, yeah, and this I want dollar, and I'm going to say index. So there are different avatars. We were using avatar 3, so there is avatar, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is supposed to be index plus 1. I hope this works. I hope. Let's see. I want this to be a little bit bigger. Oops. 25. And what else? This is going to be a little bit different class name, so I want this to be flex row, want its position to be relative, and its width to be 100. And I want this username inside a strong tag, so let's do that. Strong, and I'm going to put user.username inside strong. Is this all we need? I hope it is. So let's check and see if this is correct. We are going to take care of this as well. So here I'm gonna uncomment this, and inside here I wanna put an onClick event, which is going to point to a function. So I'm gonna call this function select user, and here inside here I'm gonna pass the user. Let's write this function above, just below send message. Let's say constant select user, or say add a function, right? And I'm gonna say um, here I'm gonna create another constant saying selected user and set selected user. This is going to be an object. So here I'm going to call set selected user, and inside we are passing user as a parameter over here, and inside we are passing user object. Now selected value, okay, yeah, selected. Now the selected user we're going to pass inside our chat header. We're going to make a few changes over to our chat body. Here I don't want this to be rendered, so I'm going to just comment this. Also, we need to put a condition over here saying that selected user dot user ID. If there is a user ID existing inside this, then and only then I want to render this entire thing. Yep. Let's see how this looks. So if I select John, yep, logged in as John. I don't want this logged in as. I'm gonna remove this inside chat header. I'm gonna remove this thing logged in as. Let's check. Yeah, you see John. If I refresh this, click on, yep, see John here. Now let's select Aditya. Yeah, this is working. Nice. So we have a issue in our application now. I'll show you what the issue is. So I'm gonna log in here with my username. So this is good. Now I'm gonna go on Firefox. Here I'm gonna log in as John. You get my username, that is good because I'm already connected over here. But if I go to Aditya's chat window, you can see John has also joined as well. See, if I refresh now and go to John's chat window, watch what happens. Now we don't want this. Here my username is showing 2 times. So what happened here exactly? When I refreshed here, I am disconnecting and rejoining the server. So 2 events are called at that stage. My connection disconnecting, and then after reloading it, I'm reconnecting to the server. So 2 connections, connect and disconnect events are called. That's why 2 users are, my user is registered again, and this is why we are getting multiple users at a time. We are getting multiple renders here. So how do we fix this? So I'm going to show you the 2 events that are called. I'm going to go inside my main.jsx. So 2 socket events are emitted. Socket.on connect, and this is going to point an arrow function. I'm going to console.info inside this and say connected. And the second event, which is called, is socket.disconnect on this connect, and this is going to say disconnected. So let's check on this page now. I'm going to inspect this and you'll see what I was talking about. When I refresh this, you're going to see connected. When I refresh this, it says disconnected and then reconnected. And see, we're getting the same issue on my side as well, on Aditya's chat window as well. This has a very simple fix. So inside our chat.jsx, we are using this event user connected. Here we are having a constant about this user ID and user status. We are not currently using this, so I'm going to remove this. I'm going to put a condition over here and say if user dot user ID is not equals user ID, then don't render that, only put a new user. That means this is not my connection. If I refresh this, this is also going to push out my name. If this is not me, if this user which is connecting is not me, then it's a new user connecting. Here I also want to check if the user coming in is disconnecting and reconnecting, if it's already existing inside our users array. So I'm going to say constant user exists equals users dot find index, and this is going to point have an arrow function here, say user dot user ID not equals user ID. So if this user is going to be if user exists, actually this is going to return an index, correct? So I'm going to remove this function on top. I'm going to say constant something like find user equals, and it's going to be a function, correct? I'm going to post this inside. I want to send in the user ID which I'm going to find, excuse me, and I'm going to return user exists, not user exist, user index user index is greater than or equal to 0, because this is an array. The user might be at a position 0, so that's why 0, and this is going to return true or false because this is a condition. And let's put this, if user exists, say constant user exists equals find user, and I'm going to put in user ID inside here. We don't have a new message inside, so that's good. We will remove this for now, and here if user exists, if user doesn't exist, excuse me, then I want to put inside our user. Then I'll put this user inside our users array. So I'm going to say new user equals, this is going to have a user ID and username. Put this inside, and pass this. Also I need to write connected true, because obviously this is connected, which means its property has to be true. So what else is it? This is find user and user dot user ID, include them in dependencies. Okay, I need to include find user down here. just up there, and has missing dependency user dot user ID. Yeah, we need to include this inside here also. So it's saying I need to make this a callback function. I need to use a hook called use callback. So let's do that. It's kind of annoying. Let's put here, then move this inside, delete this. I need to put dependencies as we are using use callback, and parameter inside we are using users inside over here. So let's put users, and we need to import use callback on the top. That should do it. Let's check both our users now. I'm going to delete my session ID from the local storage. We're going to delete it from both our browsers. You can see that we are disconnected, and if I say Aditya, see, we are connected now. If I go on Firefox, here I say John, we get Aditya. We were disconnected, now we're connected. Now if I open Microsoft Edge, and if I log in from the third browser, say Cindy, see Cindy, we're getting good. This is good. Cindy, good. Now if I refresh this is good. We're not getting any more duplications over here. If I see on Cindy's, yep, we're not getting duplications here. If I refresh this, yep, no duplications. Over to Aditya, no duplications. So yeah, this is solved. As you can see, this is working as well. Splendid. Hi, welcome back. As you can see, I have these tasks written in front of me. Our main task for this video is going to be to show which users are online and which users are offline. So our first subtask is to create CSS classes. So I'm gonna open index.css over here. I'm gonna go down, and I'm gonna write two classes. One is gonna be online, obviously, and one is gonna be offline. So first, our background color has to be, so I'm gonna use 4CD 137. Yeah, this is gonna have position not relative, absolute, and it's have bottom 0. It should be at the left of 40 pixels. Its height is going to be 20 pixels. Width is also going to be 20 pixels. I want it to have a border, a white border, 3 pixels solid, white, and it's gonna be a round, so it's supposed to be border radius 50%. So all of this is going to be same except for our background color, which is going to be red. So for that, it's going to be CE 1515. Nice. So our first task is done. Let's move on to second task, which is adding CSS classes, both of these, online and offline, to our HTML. So let's go inside our chat window, not chat window, sorry, chat.jsx. Down here, inside our users, our users.map, where we are entering users, inside our column, flex column, here just below the image, I'm gonna write a span. which is going to have not children class name. Now I need to put a condition over here. Obviously it's going to be user dot connected. If this is true, then I want the class online, otherwise I want offline. There we go. Our second task is also done. Third is going to be updating user connected event and have a create use callback function and create handle connection status. Okay, yeah, so here let's put all of this inside a use callback function. So I'm gonna say constant use user connected equals use callback. There you go. Inside this I'm gonna put this or brackets. I don't need to include brackets, so here, and I want to put deconstruct this inside here, and I just need to simply put user inside here, call this user connected function and pass in the user object. That should do it. So now I need to if this user is connecting, I need to change this property, this connected property. So let's do that. So here we are having to check if user exists, and I don't like this not operator over here. It's a bit difficult to read. You don't catch it at a first glance. So I'm gonna put this on an else inside the else block. Here, if user exists, I need to find the user index. So I'm going to say users dot find index, and inside this has to be an arrow function. I'm going to say u dot user id equals user id, and I'm going to put this. This is going to return the user index. Then I'm going to say users of user index dot connected equals true, and then I'm going to say set users. Because we're changing this connection, we need to reset this. We reset our users array. I'm going to spread this. I'm going to spread this inside our set users function. So we can pretty much extract this and make it a new function, make it a new callback function. So I'm going to do that. Here I want to say constant handle connection status equals use callback. Here I want an arrow function inside with dependencies. Did I put dependencies in user connection? No, I didn't. Thought so, I didn't. Here I want to put 3 or 4, sorry, users and set users, and also the third, which is going to be this one, sorry, fourth, which is going to be this one, until connection status. And let's continue with this now. Inside here I'm gonna cut this and paste it inside, and I'm gonna call this function inside here. So what do I want to pass? I want to pass the user ID and the actual connection status, so which is going to be true. And here I want to pass I want to give the parameters as user ID and also status. And I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to assign the status to whatever we are passing inside our function. So where is this going to be useful? When we are going to write user disconnected event. There, this code is going to get repeated, so that's why I separated now, otherwise later, instead of later. So that's that. Now let's write our dependencies inside here. Here dependencies are going to be users and set users. There we go. So now we have written this function, handle connection status. Now let's check our next state. Next task is going to be handling disconnect event on the server side. So I'm going to go on my server side. Here I need to write an event down here, which is going to be socket.on disconnect. So in the last video I told you guys that this event is going to get called when when the user gets disconnected from our socket server. This is automatically going to get called. So inside this I want to write a few things. I want to notify first I want to notify other users that I'm disconnected, that this user is disconnected. I can't spell today. And next is going to be I have to update the session. So this session that we are saving over here, as you can see, we are putting connected true over here. Here, after disconnecting, we're going to update our session against our user ID. We're going to set it to false. And as you can see, if a new user is connected and we are not connected, this is going to get called. So our session.connected status should be false if we are not connected. So let's do that. I need to be perfectly sure that user is disconnected. So there is a method for that. It's going to be io.in. On it's going to be in. I'm going to pass in our socket dot user ID, and I'm going to say dot all sockets. Now this is going to return a promise, so I'm going to await it. If you are writing await over here, so this function is going to be an async function, and here I'm going to receiving the matching sockets. This socket with I'm going to receive the socket with this user ID. So, and this matching socket is going to have a property size, which we're going to compare. So I'm going to name this as matching sockets equals, and next is going to be matching sockets dot size, and if this is 0, which means it's disconnected, then I'm going to store this is disconnected equals, this is going to store a boolean. So first I want to notify my users, so I'm going to say if is disconnected, right? First I want to notify my users, and then I want to update the session. So I'm going to socket dot broadcast to all the connected users that this user has disconnected. So this name of the event is going to be disconnected, user disconnected, excuse me. Let's see if I spelled that right. COCNECTED. Okay, user disconnected. and here I'm going to pass in which user has disconnected. So I'm going to pass in user ID, which is going to be socket dot user ID. Let's pass in the username as well. Why not? Socket dot username. And finally, let's save or update technically our session, which is going to be against our session ID. So socket dot session ID, and inside this we pass our updated session object. So it's going to be user ID, which is going to be socket dot user ID. Next is going to be username, socket dot username, and third is going to be connected, which is going to be socket dot connected. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Update the session. Update the technically we are not updating the session, but we are updating connection status of the session, right? Yeah. So yeah, this is it on the server side. The next task is actually handling the user disconnected event on the client side. If you remember, we broadcast this user disconnected event. So now let's handle this inside here. User connected. I'm going to just below this, I'm going to write socket dot on user disconnected, and here I'm going to pass the arrow function. I'm going to write a function over here which I'm going to declare above. User disconnected. This is going to have a user parameter. Pass in user inside here, and I'm going to write constant user disconnected equals use callback. This can have arrow function and dependencies. Here I want to deconstruct this. It's going to have user ID and username. And here I want to call handle connection status of that user, and this is going to be false because user is disconnected, and I'm going to pass in this inside. So we'll remove this, we don't need it. Actually, let's put this inside here so it's much more readable now, or you can keep it like it was before, doesn't really matter. To put both these inside our use effect, so there we go. Nice. I'm going to remove some of this because I don't think we are using I'm not using find user, I'm not using users, set users, no. Messages, I think we are using messages. Yeah, set messages. Yep, there we go. That's much cleaner and much easier to look at. Inside here I'm gonna put a condition just to be safe, because I don't think this is going to get the user ID is going to get passed at the first render. This is going to be undefined, so this is going to return something like -1. I don't want that to happen, so I'm gonna say user result user index greater than equals to 0, then and only then I want this to happen. It's safe that you write this condition in our handle connection status just to be safe. Better safe than sorry. And also I think I missed a function here. Yep, I think I need to put this inside as well, seeing as this is coming from outside. Now let's run the project. Yep, it's compiled successfully. Now let's check in our browsers. So here on Chrome, I'm gonna log in with my name. In Mozilla, let's log in with John. See, you get my name and seeing the status as I'm online. Let's go to Cindy. Actually, let's check my chat. Yep, you see John is online as well. Let's go to third window and see Cindy. Yeah, you see both my name and John's name joining in. If I go on my chat window, you see Cindy is logged in, and if I go on John's, yep, see, this is proved. Now let's close someone's tab. I'm gonna close Cindy's tab. See, Cindy has gone offline. Let's check Aditya's. Yep, Cindy has gone offline. So that's it. We now have user's status. If the user is connected, which means the user is online or offline. Hi guys, welcome back. As you can see, we are going to be writing the functionality for sending and receiving private chat messages. We have a few subtasks over here, so let's get started. First, we're going to fix this send button. To do this, I'm going to go inside a chat input. Here I noticed I didn't write the send message function, so I'm going to write on click. If you guys have done this, so skip ahead. I'm just quickly going to do this. I'm going to say send message. Send message. There we go. And that's done. So next is going to be updating send message. We want to emit a new event, private message event. So I'm going to write all this down. I'm going to write all this functionality down, and then I'm going to run and explain what I've done. That way it's much more easier. That way you will understand the flow of things as well, I feel like. So let's start this. I'm gonna go inside my chat component, not chat body, excuse me. Here inside a send message, we are emitting this new message. Instead of new message, I'm gonna write private message, and then we're gonna update this. Here I'm gonna write a you're gonna pass in an object which is going to be content, which is it's gonna have message, and two, this is going to be selected user dot not select user, selected user dot user ID. Next, I'm going to remove this. We don't actually need it, and yeah, this is it for the send message. We're done with the second task. Third is writing the private message event on the server side. So I'm going to go on server side. Here we are writing this new message event. Instead of this, I'm going to say private message event. We don't exactly need this new message. Instead of that, I'm just turning this event into private message. So here I'm going to deconstruct this. Here we're going to have content and two, and inside this I'm going to just type in a new message, a constant called new message, and here I want to say from, which is going to be the actual, which is going to be the sender, and the socket dot user ID, and it's going to be two is going to be from here, and third one is going to be the content itself. Next I'm going to remove all of this and just say socket dot two, and just pass in the two variable, which is our parameter here, and I'm going to emit the same event private message, and inside this we're going to pass in our new message. This message makes sense over here, so let's say message. That's that. This is done on our server side. So let's go on our client side now. Here, instead of new message, again I'm going to be writing as private message, and all of this is going to be called message, and I'm going to remove this, write a new function over here, say constant private message equals use callback, there we go, and this is going to be an arrow function. It's going to have some dependencies at some point. Here I'm going to paste whatever was written, new message. This is going to have our message. Let's call this inside here and pass in our message, and let's put in the dependency as well. There we go. We don't need these two now. That's it for this. I'm gonna put this inside here, set message and also messages. There we go. And I need to deconstruct this now. This is going to have content from and to. There you go. Again, I don't need this type, so user ID is going to be from, username is going to be from dot username, and then message is going to be content. And we are done with the client side as well. We are done writing our private message event on the client side as well. Third is actually going to be updating the chat body HTML. So here I'm going to go inside chat body and I'm going to comment out a few things. I don't need this. I don't need to show the username icon or the user's icon, excuse me. And I also don't need this. And I'm gonna cut this out and paste it below here. I'm gonna remove this from .username because I don't think we need a username for now. Let's check how this looks. So here I've signed in with 3 different browsers. Here is in Chrome it's my name, in Mozilla it's John, and third it's going to be Cindy. Here I'm going to select some user before sending any message. If you don't select any user, you won't get any. It's going to get lost at some point. So I'm gonna send a message to John. So I'm gonna say hi John. Let's see. Yep, you see. If I go on John's Windows and say I'm gonna send Aditya. Let's check. Yep, you see. This is working. This is nice. Now here's a big deal. Okay, if I select some other user, we still we get a different username, but the messages are not exactly cleared because I clearly sent this message to John. Why is it showing inside Cindy's chat window? It's because we didn't clear our messages array. That is why it's still rendering inside here. So I'm going to show you guys how we can fix this. So inside our chat.jsx, here when we are selecting user, when we are switching to a different user over here, we can say set messages to empty array. So that way, when we switch um, messages, it's going to clear, not set messages, it's going to be set messages. So that way, when I select a different user, it's going to clear our chat window, but our messages are lost. I'm going to show you a hotfix in the next video, how we can fix this. And in the next video, we're going to see how we can permanently save all our messages. Actually, before you go, let's talk to Cindy as well. Hi, Cindy. Yep, see, works. Hi, John. This is working perfectly. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Hi, and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be writing functionality of new message alert. Basically, I want to get alerted by which user is sending the message. So I have a few tasks written over here. Let's get started. I'm going to write the CSS classes first. So I'm going to go inside my index.js. Down here, just below offline, I'm going to write new task message that alert. So this is going to have a background color of hash 3746D1. Yep, blue, and it's gonna have a height of 15 pixels. It's gonna have a width of 15 pixels, and also border radius 50%. So it's going to be a circle. There we go. This is done. The next task is to add CSS classes to the HTML. So I'm going to go inside chat.js6. Down here, just below this strong, I'm going to write a span. This is going to have a class name. It's going to be a conditional rendering. So I'm going to say user dot as new. Oh my god, new message, right? So as you can probably guess, this property is going to get updated, and this property is going to be added to our users array. So we want to render this new CSS class that we just created, new message alert. There we go. Our second task is also done. Third is to write a new message status function. So we are going to actually update this property now inside our chat. So I'm going to go write a function over here just below user disconnected. So I'm going to write handle new message status. It's kind of big. It's going to be a use callback, obviously, because we're going to use this inside use effect, and use this inside our private chat message function. So this is going to be an arrow function, straightforward, you know the deal. So this is going to have some dependencies, and here is going to have some parameters, user ID and status, and here I'm going to update our users array now. So I'm going to say users dot find index, add a function, and this is going to have user inside our use dot user ID equals user ID. Then I'm going to store this inside a constant user index, and I'm going to check if this actually exists. So user index greater than or equals 0. Then I'm going to say user index dot as a message our property equals status, right? Then I'm going to say set users, then I push in a new array, spread this users array. So we want to include some things over here. I'm going to include set users and also users. There we go. Now let's call this. Where are we going to call this? So yeah, private message. So here I have two conditions over here. First is going to be if user is selected. So if you recall, when we run this application, it's either in a state where a user is selected or no user is selected. So I'm going to have to render that conditionally. So if some user is selected, then and if that message is from that user, don't alert me. If the message is from user who I'm not chatting with, then you have to alert me. I hope that made sense. And if user is selected and if user is not selected, so here I'm going to write if selected user dot user id equals from. Then also before we move forward, I made a slight mistake on the server side while calling this private message. I'm going to show you guys what it is. Here I've written form. It's not form, it's from. So if you guys have noticed this, that's great. If you have not, you can change it right now, because we're going to use this, we are using this property. So going back, here we are using from, so now this is good. If user is selected, which is selected user dot user id equals from, I need to put two conditions actually, because see, we are actually having an empty object. So if user is not selected, this user dot selected user dot user id does not exist. This is going to give us an error. So if it's selected and if the selected user is actually sending me message, then I want to set message. Otherwise, and if this is not selected, then I want to put else, right? I want to call this function inside here. So I want to say user id and I want to pass true, and also I want to copy this and paste it inside here. So this condition is if user is not selected. I hope that makes sense. I'm gonna quickly go through this again. See, if our application is in idle state, which means no user is selected, which means no, we don't have a chat window on our right side, then this is going to be blank. This is not going to contain the user ID. So this is just going to go on else block. If a user sends a message, if someone else sends message, then it's going to find that user ID and actually turn that has new message into true, and it's going to show the alert. If we are chatting with the user that we are messaging, then just send me the message or show me the message. If we are actually inside the state of selected user and we are not chatting with that particular user, then only just alert me that this user has sent me a message. So I hope pray and hope this made sense, or I've just over explained this. Doesn't matter. I hope you guys understand it. Now let's check. I think this should work. I'm very much I'm very much concerned that this selected user is actually not going to work. Let's check. Let's check if this works. Oh, I accidentally wrote from over here. My mistake. I also forgot to put this inside over here, and also this is set users, not users, and also I need to put selected users. There we go. I also forgot to put a few classes inside here because we need some spacing inside uh, this username, between this username and this message alert. So I'm gonna say me margin end, it's gonna be auto, and also I want to put some margin top inside here as well. Let's not put this null, let's put this like this. Let's run this application now. It's compiled successfully. I have opened all the three users inside three different browsers. This is good. Now I'm gonna choose John. I'm gonna type message. So inside John, before sending this message, just checking inside John, this is at an idle state. Now let's send this. There we go. We have a new message inside here. Now if I click on this, see, it doesn't go away. So that's our fourth task, which is going to be update select user function. So let's do that. Inside here, select user, here just below set messages, I'm gonna type in handle new messages. I'm gonna pass in user dot user ID and false. I want to clear whatever new message alert it has. So let's check again. I'm gonna refresh this. I'm gonna go into John and also refresh this. John, I'm gonna type hi John. See, inside John now we get new message alert. If I click on Aditya, the new message alert is gone. Let's do this with Cindy now. Hi Cindy. See, we're getting a new message from John. So this is working. This is good. So we are done with the tasks. In the next video, I'm going to be saving all of our user messages, our user interaction messages. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Hi guys, and welcome back. This is going to be the last video on in this series, and in this video we are going to be saving chat messages on the server. As you can see, that's the main task. We have a bunch of subtasks over here. Let's get started. This first one is creating message storage JS on the server side. So I'm going to go on the server. Oh, I'm already inside server. So here in the source folder, I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to say message storage.js. There you go. Here we're going to have a constant. Let's call this messages. And we're going to have two functions. Export function. The first function is going to be save messages. Save message. Excuse me. This is going to have our message inside. And I'm going to push this inside our array. Message dot push message. There we go. Next, we're gonna add another function. Say find messages for user. Here we're gonna pass user ID, and we're gonna return messages messages dot filter, and filter this array. So this is gonna have an object inside, which is gonna have properties of from and to, and here I'm going to compare the from property or to equals user ID. That's it. We want to return from and to whatever messages which are matching this condition. Now let's go inside index.js. Let's quickly import these functions. Save messages. There we go. And I'm gonna cut this quickly. There we go. Our file is imported. Let me just, yep. So that task is done. First task is done. Now we're going to add save message or function inside the private message event. So I'm going to copy this function, go down on private message, and just below our socket event I'm going to paste this. Inside here I'm going to say message, save our message. So that task is also done. Second task is also done. Now third is message array inside users array. Message array inside users array. Okay, basically we need to put a messages array inside our users. Here we are. So inside our user we get the user's interaction, we get our interaction with this user. Here I want to write a function which will call this find messages for user, and we'll store this inside a constant. So let's write that function. So here I'm going to type function, and I'm going to name this get messages for user. Here I'm going to pass in user ID, and I'm going to declare a new map first. This is going to be stored inside messages for user equals new map, and I want to call find messages for user. There we go. This is imported correctly. Good. And I want to pass in our user ID. Now we are returning a array, so I'm going to loop this array. Inside this we're going to have our users, our interaction, our messages array, not messages array, our messages for whatever you have sent. So inside this it's going to have message. So I'm going to deconstruct this. Initially this is going to have from from. Let's not make that mistake again, and deconstruct the message, get the from and to property, and here I want to compare if which one is it. Is it from me, or is it from the other user? That way we can store that message per user. That way we can map user for if it's from me or it's from the other person, the second person. So I'm going to store this inside a constant. I'm going to say other user, and if messages per user dot has. So this is the case of where that this other user is already inside our map function. So we just want to push whatever message is incoming. Otherwise we want to set a new one. So I'm going to say messages for user dot set. Inside here I want to pass in the other user, and also I'm going to pass in an array and pass in our message SSAGE. There we go. Or I want to say messages per user dot get whatever this other user already has. If we, I mean, we are setting this array inside, so we are gonna get an array and we're gonna push this new message inside. So message. There you go. That's our function done. I hope this made sense. It's pretty straightforward. Now let's call this function inside here, and I'm gonna pass in the socket dot user ID as a parameter, and I'm gonna store this inside constant saying user messages. There we go. Nice. So if we don't have any interaction, I still want to send an empty array. Otherwise, I want user messages dot get this session's user ID. Pass in the session's user ID, or just send me an empty array. So either get me these users messages or pass in the empty array. You get the gist. And now that's done with our third task. Now we're going to move to client side. We're going to emit user messages on client side. Here I'm going to go inside components, inside chat, down here all the way. I want to emit a new event. So socket.on, socket.emit. Here I want to pass in the event name, so user messages, and I want this user's interaction that we had. So this task is done. Next is handling user messages event on the server side. So I'm going to go on index.js again, and here just below private message I'm going to say socket.on, and here I'm going to say user messages. Here we're going to pass in a arrow function. Nice. So here we are getting the user object, so it's going to have user ID and user name. And now I want to get all the interactions that we had, so we're going to call this function again. So I'm going to copy this. So instead of socket ID, I'm going to pass user ID, and here I'm going to say user messages equals, there we go, nice. And I'm going to say socket dot emit. I'm going to send all these messages back to me, back to me and nobody else, because only I want all the interaction that we have, not everyone else. I'm not going to send it to someone else. I only want it to myself. So I'm going to say again user messages, and here I'm going to pass an object with user ID, user name, and messages array. And I'm going to pass in again, I'm going to say user messages dot get, and pass in our user ID. If we don't have any messages, it's going to return blank. So this is done. Our fifth task is also done. Now let's handle our final task, which is handling user messages event on client side. Here, just below in the use effect, just below private message event, I'm going to say socket.on user messages, and this is going to have an arrow function pointing. This is going to say messages, and I'm going to declare a function in a minute saying user messages, and I'm going to pass in all these messages. So let's write this function now. I'm going to say constant user messages equals use callback. Nice. And pass in an arrow function, dependencies. So here I don't want anything else. I only want the messages array that's going to send. So now let's set messages, whatever these messages are going to send. But this is coming and in a different context. This messages array object is like something like this. It has content and what from we have user ID and message. We have this format inside our set messages. Our message format is let me just show you message and user ID. So this is how these messages are coming, but this is how we want. So we're gonna have to loop this. I'm gonna say constant chat messages equals empty array messages. I'm gonna loop all of these. So for each, there we go. Point an arrow function and write and deconstruct this first. So it's gonna have content and the from property. I'm gonna say chat messages dot push pop push. I'm gonna send in user ID as from and message as content. And now let's say set messages and let's put an array, spread this chat messages array inside. And also let's not forget, put this inside a dependency, remove this. There we go, nice and clean. Another thing here, I need to put socket.userid. Here I've opened all three different browsers with their respective users, Aditya, John, and Cindy. Let's chat with John now. I'm going to say hi. Here we get a new message alert. That's good. See, we get the hi message, and now let's chat back. Hi Aditya. So here we get the message, but here's the thing. Okay, we are already chatting with John. We are already inside this John's chat window. So why are we getting this new message alert? It's because we have already selected this, but the state inside this is not updated, or it's asynchronously updating. That is why we're getting this new message alert over here. So to fix this, I'm going to have to use another hook called as useRef. So here on the top of our variables and constants, I'm gonna declare current selected user equals useref. There we go. This is gonna have an empty object inside, and I'm gonna press this, or I'm gonna write this down here. We say set select current selected user dot current equals user object itself. So we are going to replace all of this over here with our selected user dot current, and also put this condition inside here. There we go. This is fixed. Now let's check again. So as we are chatting with John, I'm gonna send him another message saying what's up. So here we get, see, what's up. Let's refresh all of this. See, we get our chats back. This is good. Now if I refresh this again also, you'll see we get all of our chats back. I'm gonna type again, what's up. See, we don't get that new message alert anymore. So this is fixed. If I refresh this again, and if I choose John, see, we get all our messages. We get all our previous messages. So this concludes the end of this series. I hope you guys learned something from it. Until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this series. I had a lot of fun coding this. In the next few videos, or I might do a next series wherein I combine two aspects. We can have a group chat. Oh, John is gone offline. We can have group chat and also private chat. So stay tuned for that. I might do a series for that in the near future. See you guys later. Bye.